The Chinese military conducted a maritime joint patrol with Russian forces on Sunday. According to Associated Press, the joint C-2025 exercise was held in seas near the Russian port city of Vladivostok, which lies across the sea from Japan's west coast. Last year, the drill was held off southern China in the South China Sea. The Chinese and Russian governments have deepened their ties in recent years, with China providing an economic lifeline to Russia in the face of Western sanctions over Moscow's invasion of Ukraine. European leaders asked China again last week to use its influence to pressure Russia to end the war, now in its fourth year, but there was no sign that Beijing would do so. Japan's defense ministry said in an annual report earlier this month that China's growing military cooperation with Russia poses serious security concerns. Zhang said the exercise and patrol are part of an annual cooperation plan and are not aimed at any other country or related to the current international or regional situation.
袭的中国海军西湖船、俄罗斯海军别洛乌索夫号救生船率先离港。随后，中方绍兴舰、乌鲁木齐舰、俄方特里布茨海军上将号大型反潜舰、响亮号轻型护卫舰等依次驶离码头。按照演习方案，中俄海上舰艇编队将演练内容包括援潜救生、联合反潜、防空反检验前期联合筹划为期3天的海上演练、海作战等多个科目演练。离港完毕后，中俄海军舰艇组成混合编队驶向任务海域，双方舰艇建立通信链路，互相通报海区水文气象、海空情况等信息要素。
Military airfields are a priority target for Russian missile attacks, but Ukraine has so far successfully defended its F-16s against this threat, thanks to a new approach to operating the aircraft. Business Insider reports. Under normal circumstances, military aviation relies heavily on its permanent airfields, where a fixed infrastructure for servicing the fleet and pilots is deployed. This works well in peacetime or in conflicts where the enemy has no way to attack your rear airfields. But Ukraine has to fight an enemy that can, at any moment, strike any military airfield with a missile. As the author of the publication notes, the focus on dispersal and mobility, while maintaining operational flexibility, is precisely what has allowed the Ukrainian Air Force to survive and protect the skies over 3 years. Back in September 2023, U.S. General James Hecker, Commander-in-Chief of U.S. Air Forces in Europe, said that Ukraine had lost relatively few of its aircraft on the ground in the first 18 months because they very rarely take off and land at the same airfield. Such mobility and dispersion is possible because Ukraine relies not only on fixed airfield infrastructure to service its aircraft, but also on mobile systems mounted on trucks. In particular, Ukraine has developed and manufactured 2 such systems to support its F-16 fighters. With the help of these mobile complexes, the Ukrainian Air Force can carry out maintenance and replenishment of aircraft ammunition. In addition, one of the new complexes has a command post and workstations for mission planning and briefings for pilots, as well as a place for personnel to rest. Tim Robinson, a military aviation specialist at the Royal Aeronautical Society, called it a highly innovative move that could be critical to the survival of Ukraine's few F-16s. He also expressed his belief that NATO countries should take note of Ukraine's know-how. By comparison, Russia didn't even try to disperse its aircraft until Ukraine began attacking airfields with long-range drones. But even then, Ukrainian strikes on Russian airfields were generally far more effective than Russian strikes on Ukrainian air bases. F-16s also destroy Russian targets on the front line successfully. Since the start of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, the number of HIV cases among Russian military personnel has increased by 2,000%. According to a new report from the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace, the sharp increase is due both to conditions on the front lines, unprotected sex among soldiers, and drug use, and to the policies of the Russian government, which, under the guise of protecting traditional values, has increased pressure on prevention and education organizations fighting HIV. According to the foundation, by the end of 2022, the number of cases in the army had increased 13 times compared to the pre-war level, and by the end of 2024, 20 times. Experts warn the demographic and economic consequences of the outbreak will be felt for decades and may be even more devastating than the consequences of the invasion of Ukraine. The report also points to the generally poor HIV situation in Russia. Since 2022, the country has consistently ranked among the world's top 5 in terms of new infections, behind only South Africa, Mozambique, Nigeria, and India. In 2021, Russia accounted for 3.9% of all new HIV cases worldwide, more than Tanzania, Uganda, Zambia, or Kenya. There are no objective reasons why the HIV rate is decreasing worldwide but continues to grow in Russia. This is due exclusively to political decisions, analysts at the Carnegie Endowment emphasize. As an example, they cite the Kremlin's actions against organizations involved in HIV prevention. Thus, on April the 3rd, the Russian Prosecutor General's office declared the activities of the Elton John AIDS Foundation, a charitable organization founded by British musician Elton John that deals with treatment, information, and expanding access to medical care in the field of HIV/AIDS, undesirable. The reason was allegedly the promotion of non-traditional sexual relations. The organization, founded in 1992 and operating in more than 90 countries, aims to combat HIV stigma, protect LGBTQ+ people, and end the AIDS epidemic. Russian authorities, however, accused the foundation of promoting Western family models and gender reassignment. According to the Central Research Institute of Epidemiology of Rospotrebzadno, by the fall of 2022, HIV was diagnosed in 1% of the Russian population, that is about 1.5 million people. Russia has achieved rather sad successes, up to 1.5 million infected. This is 1% of the population, said the head of the Department of Epidemiology and Prevention of AIDS, Vadim Pokrovsky. His forecast is disappointing. By 2030, the number of new infections could reach 660,000. In the age group from 15 to 49 years, the infection rate in Russia is 1.5%. This is higher than in most African countries. For example, in Ethiopia, it is 0.9%. In Congo, 0.7%. In Nigeria, 1.3%. Russia is ahead of European countries in this indicator by 3 to 15 times. In Germany, for example, HIV is detected in 0.1% of the population aged 15 to 49. In Italy, 0.2%. In Spain, 0.4%. And in Portugal, 0.5%.